Welcome back to another step-by-step painting tutorial. Today, we are going to do Neon Sign Cake, a painting that's made to look like a neon sign. We'll go through all the steps. It's super easy. Let's go. First, you'll need a black canvas. I pre-painted mine, but you can buy a black canvas if you'd like. A cup of water, neon pink paint. I'm using acrylic for this video. Neon green paint, beige paint. You'll need a medium-sized flat brush, a thin round brush, some white paint, a piece of chalk to draw, and not shown here, a palette. Let's go. We're going to start with a round for the cherry on the top of our cake. So we're going to do a circle. We're going to add 3 lines coming out of our cherry, and the middle one is going to be our longest. We're going to add a dot on the right hand side of our cherry and about right here. You're going to connect those two with a somewhat curved line. We're going to add a dot on the left hand side of the cherry. Add a smiley face at the bottom of our cherry. And then we're going to connect that dot with another dot around here. Let's connect it somewhat curved. Now let's go ahead and start drawing the frosting. You're going to go up, down, down, up, down, up, down. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. The idea is to make it look like it's melting. We're going to add 2 lines for the edge of the cake. We're going to add a dot here and a dot here and connect them. That's the first layer of our actual cake part. Going to add a line here. It's already looking like a cake. Let's go ahead and add a dot there and there. Connect those with a straight line. Just make sure that it's below your frosting. And then finish off the sides, connecting the left and the right side of our cake. So simple. Let's get started painting. For painting, you're going to need to squeeze out a little bit of each color on your palette. We're going to start with our flat brush. You're going to dip that brush in water. And then we're actually going to add paint dots with the back side of our paintbrush. You're going to dip it in your pink and add a couple of dots along the chalk line of our frosting, making sure you have a little bit of space in between them. Then with a wet brush, we are going to redo the line of our chalk. Now, what is the idea here? The idea is that when this paint dries, it'll be translucent. Translucent means you can see through it. This is going to be the glow of our light. So we want this one to be pretty watered down. Enough for us to see it, but not enough for it to be very vibrant. Once you have that nice and smooth, you're going to dip the back of your brush in the pink paint again and do a couple more dots along the chalk line of our frosting. You might have to dip it quite a bit of times. We're going to re-wet our brush just in case it dried, and then we're going to drag our dots and our brush along the lines of our frosting. Again, what is the idea here? We're trying to get it really nice and smooth and see-through. This line is going to be the thickest line that we are going to do today. So you do want to press down on your brush quite a bit. We do need it to be kind of thick. I would want to say about 1/2 inch thick. Everything that we do after this line will have to fit inside of this line. So the thicker you start, the easier it'll be when it comes down to doing all the other colors. We went ahead and did the smiley face underneath the cherry. You see, as I go, I have to go over it a couple of times just to make sure that I get the pink that I'm looking for. Once this dries, it's going to be about 2 shades darker, so it won't be this pink. I am drying off my paint, the tip of my paintbrush, because I'm going to switch to our beige color. You're going to do the same technique for the cake part. Now, obviously, you can make this cake part whatever color you want, but I wanted to use beige just to keep it true to a slice of vanilla cake. I'm cleaning off my brush with the pink, and I'm gonna just wet it a little bit and use that to drag the paint across. Try not to get the colors to touch. So because we're trying to do a neon sign, we kind of want the colors to just float on the black canvas. If you touch, no worries. I show you a technique later on in the video that you can use to clean up any edges that got too close. We're going to continue with our dot technique. Always remember to have water on your brush. And we're looking for it to be pretty translucent here. And smooth. I'm going to go ahead and do the last cake line, only adding 3 dots, a bit of water, pressing down with my brush to make that line thicker. That looks good. Let's go ahead and clean our brush off. Oh, I forgot the 2 lines in the frosting. I'm going to just add 1 or 2 dots on this line and spread that out. And after these 2 lines, all we have left is our cherry, which I am doing in lime green just because I didn't have any other colors, but you are more than welcome to pick any color. Just remember, we are on a black surface, so the brighter the color, the better it's going to look. So yellows, lime greens, baby greens, baby blues. Let's go ahead and spread this green out. That looks nice. You're looking for about that thickness. I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of rounds here, and then I'm going to drag that out onto my cherry stem. That looks good. You can still see that it's green. And if you can take a look at the pink, look at how much darker it's starting to get. You're going to go ahead and let this dry. You can't do the next step before it's dry. So how you check if it's dry, you're going to go ahead and put your finger on it. If anything comes up, you need to wait a little longer. If not, then we can keep going. I'm going to go ahead and grab my thin round brush. And now I'm going to make a pretty opaque, which means you can't see through it. I'm going to make an opaque line inside of my translucent line, being very mindful that I don't touch the edges of that line. here I decided, after using a little bit of the pink, that I'm going to add a little bit of white. Not enough to change the color of my pink, but just enough to make it more opaque. And if you don't know what opaque means, it just means that you can't see through it. It's really, it covers a lot. So translucent would be see-through, opaque would mean the opposite. You cannot see through. And anytime you mix white with any color, it makes that color opaque. So I'm taking my time here. I want it really vibrant. So any little time I do it, once I start running out of paint, I'm going to go ahead and grab some more paint. So if you missed it, I mixed a little bit of white into my neon pink, and I am basically tracing over the line that we already did, but slightly smaller. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in here so you guys can see a little bit of what I mean. There we go. Now you can see I'm getting rather close to the edges of our first layer, but not quite. You can really see the distinction between our translucent line and our opaque line. A quick pro painting tip. When you are trying to do things that are really straight or really clean, you want to try to sketch at the least as possible. You don't want to sketch at all. You don't want to lift your brush. You want to be able to do your line in one stroke until your paint runs out, and then go over it in long strokes. So less movement, more singular strokes. That shows more control. It comes out way cleaner, and it just overall looks better. So as you can tell, I'm not touching the edges of my line to any other colors either. We're going to go ahead and do this smiley face underneath our cherry. I'm going to try to do it in one stroke. If you can, great. If you can't, also great. You can always let it dry and come back to it if you feel like you can see through it a little bit, just like I'm doing right here. Once we're done with the pink, let's go ahead and grab some beige. Same technique. We're going for slightly thinner than the outside line. Making sure that it's really nice and opaque. Trying to do it in 1 or 2 strokes to keep our lines as clean as possible. You're going to go ahead and do the whole cake slice, and then we'll switch over to green. See you then. I realized that I had forgotten to do the 2 lines on the frosting, so I'm going to go ahead and do those now. These are pretty small, so if you end up covering the whole first layer, that's okay. It was really even hard for me to stay within the lines, so we went ahead and did the pink. We're going to go ahead and clean our brush. I'm going to add a little bit of white to our green because I already know that green is pretty weak. Any color that has yellow in it is going to be pretty translucent as is. So I just added a little bit of white to make it a little more opaque. Again, just like all the other layers, we're going to try to remain within the translucent line. Here's a better view of that. And I'm trying to do this as clean as possible, so without lifting my brush. You are going to do the circle the stem and the two lines on either side of the stem, and that's it for our cherry. Now it's time to do our last layer, which is white. Actually, before we do our white, while our paint is drying, I think this is a good time to use our black paint. If you didn't have any, go ahead and stop the video and grab some to correct some of the areas that the two colors are touching. So as you can see here, I'm just adding a little bit of black to create some separation between the glow of the pink and my green. Feel free to do this in any other area where you feel like the colors are overlapping or they are touching. We do want it to look like a sign, so none of it should be touching, just like a neon sign would. You can also use this just to clean up your edges too, to give it a really rounded look, to even push it further into looking like a neon sign. So once you're done fixing your little areas, you can go ahead and continue the video. Our last color is going to be white. You can only do this if all of your paint is completely dry. You are going to place the white inside the layer that we just did. So our white needs to be nice and thin. We're not pressing down with our brush. We are only going to use the tip of our brushes to make sure that our line is thin and in the middle of our opaque pink. This is what's going to really push that into neon sign territory. So you want to be very careful. Go really slow as you possibly can. No sketching at all. Every other line, you're going to dip and create piece of the line. Then as soon as you start running out of that paint, you're going to dip and keep going. Take your time. I am going rather quickly. I've been doing this for a long time now, so lines come easy for me, but this is not an easy step, so please take as long as you need. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, but feel free to pause the video. While you guys are finishing up your highlights, I think this is a good time to just remind you that if you enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment on all the things, and as always, tag me with your paintings on Instagram. And with this last line, you are all set with your neon sign painting. Awesome! Look at that. It actually looks like a neon sign. It's pretty crazy. So next week, we will be doing koi fishes with watercolor. I hope you can join.